Hello, this is Mr. Griffin, and this video that you're about to watch was called WWE Divas and TNA Knockouts, the best of the best. I originally made this video around this time last year, about a year ago. Much has changed with both divisions since that time. So many of the people that I talk about, some of them that I talk about were already retired and left the business, but some are not in TNA, some are not in WWE right now. But still, it's a fun to look back and see my perspective on and see which ones I was right about and which ones I may have been off about. Any comments on this video, leave down in the comment section below, or even make a video response. Well, enjoy this video. I'm out. Play the game, bring the pain.
Something to do with that attitude change, but high-risk maneuvers and another opening for Tessmacher. Get him! Quick pin attempt, leg hook.
Hello folks, this is Mr. Griffin, and as you may have saw the other day, I accidentally deleted all my videos from my YouTube account. I've been spending the last couple of days putting most of them back. There's a couple of them that are just gone for good. Excuse me. But there's a couple of them I decided, you know what? I could actually make these better and a little more streamlined. This video on the TNA Knockouts and WWE Divas was originally like a 4 or 5 parter. Now I'm just combining it into one video. Now this isn't a ranking or anything, but this is just some of my favorite divas and knockouts. There's a few on here. I call this thing the best of the best. There are a few on here though I will specify as just honorable mentions, because I don't think they're quite the best of the best yet, but they could be. And for the record, I'll tell you who's not on this list. China, the Fabulous Moolah, Sherry Martel, or somebody like Mae Young. And the reason they are, or somebody like Medusa Bacelli, the reason they are not on this list is not because they weren't any good. Oh no, every woman I just named was or is a legend. And without them, there may not be a Knockouts division or a WWE Divas division. But they were around before the terms came out. Basically, Best of the TNA Knockouts and WWE Divas is about lady wrestlers that have came along since the terms have been created. So basically, these various women are the ones featured on this list. But don't get the wrong idea. I respect what those women I just named have done for women in the wrestling business. Now, with that being said, this is just an opinion video. My word is not law. If you have, if you agree, disagree, or if you have a problem with anybody on this list, just be respectful. Don't be arrogant. Don't be all smart aleck about it or rude. Just make a video response or comments down below. With that said, let's get into my list. First woman on my list, Tara, or known as Victoria in WWE. She has an interesting story. She actually started out, at least in WWE, as one of the Godfather's various quote-unquote hoes. And then when he became the Good Father, they started making her like an independent valet and things. She first came on the scene really in WWE as a wrestler with a feud with then WWE Women's Champion Trish Stratus. And from there, it was pretty much upward and onward for her. She held the title, I think, as far as I know, like twice, both as a face and a heel. And she's one of those performers, she can play either one very, very well. I actually like her better as a heel, but she plays a good face. And they say she's really a pretty good person outside of the ring. So, and plus she's one of the few that could say she's been a WWE Women's Champion, and she's also been a TNA Knockouts Champion, in addition to being a TNA Knockouts Tag Team Champion. So, very accomplished, very honored female wrestler. Now, up next is a woman who has a pedigree for wrestling. Natalya Neidhart, the daughter of Bret the Hitman Hart's old tag team partner, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, and the niece of Bret Hart, for that matter, just to let people know. And she's a very, very skilled technical and submission wrestler, and not hard to look at. You know, when they talk about the beauties of the WWE Divas or the beauties of the Knockouts, Natalya Neidhart, at least in discussions I see and read on the internet, she rarely comes up. And I want to show this picture right here. I've tried to keep the more sexual pictures out of this video as much as I can, but I want to show this to show when she wants to, she could turn on the sexual charm. It's just that I get the impression she wants to be respected as a female wrestler and as a performer rather than her looks. And I can totally respect that. I am kind of disappointed with the way she's being pushed. Almost like a sidekick to Beth Phoenix. This is the time that I kind of wish the Divas title and the women's title were both still around, because you could have the Divas of Doom, Beth Phoenix and Natalya, who Beth Phoenix I'll get to later. You could have these two easily holding both championships right now, rather than just Beth. And nothing against Beth Phoenix holding the title. I have nothing against that at all. But Natalya deserves more than just one brief run. And I must say, a run that they didn't really push her that much. You know, once she got the title. Actually, she looked better when she was going for the championship. But once she got it, they ain't do much with her. Now, I know I've been a big critic of TNA for doing this stuff, but WWE on occasions is guilty of this too. And this is one of the examples of it. Mostly because I get the impression of they don't really give a crap about the Divas division. They're more focused on John Cena or Randy Orton or the male championships, you know, the world title or the WWE title, which I get. And to a degree, the focus should be. But if you can make more money with another audience using a division that's willing to work, why not use it? And this will probably come up many times during what I've just said will come up many times during this video. But Natalya Neidhart, definitely one of the best. Moving on. This is more of an honorable mention. I don't think she's nowhere near best of the best yet. Madison Rayne. Now, the reason she's on this list, she's on this list as an honorable mention. Like I said, as far as best of the best, oh, hell no. She's nowhere near that. What she does have is a good look. You know, she is hot. I'll give her that. She has a decent character. I mean, some people are like, oh, that screeching gets on my nerves. It's annoying. Well, the character is supposed to be annoying. So in that respect, she does have that. But as far as a wrestler, I'm sorry, even the most conservative, kind critic of this business would have to say she's I mean, at best, she's okay. But I wouldn't even say okay. I mean, I would say she's below, and she's been around a few years, but I would say she's below Kelly as far as ring skill. You know, I got into an argument the other day on online with this one YouTuber about Gail Kim, where she says, oh, she has all the charisma of a spore. Oh, she botches constantly. That's why WWE don't want her. Which I'll get to that when I get to Gail Kim. But I'm like, he basically called her a botch machine. Even went so far as to call her out of her name, which I'll get to that later. But I'm like, okay, dude, there are way worse women wrestlers that botch way worse than Gail Kim. And this is one of the main ones right here. Madison Rayne botches way more. Way more. But she does have a look, and she does have a career. I mean, I actually had a little more respect for her when she first showed up to TNA, because even though she was not the greatest female wrestler, she actually gave effort during that time. But now she's all about the character. And her ring work is really suffered for it, because, I mean, she still sucks. I mean, she makes a lot of mistakes and moves that some rookies don't even do. But I hope that changes one day, because she does have the look and she does have the body to make it. If she could just improve some of her ring work, she'd probably be okay. I probably would even put her on my best of the best. But right now, she's an honorable mention. Moving on. Her old beautiful people partner, Angelina Love, or Angel Williams. Now, of the beautiful people, and there was Madison Rayne, there was Angelina Love, there was Velvet Sky, and then there was Lacey Von Erich, who she has to be the worst women's wrestler ever. And for the record, she is not on this list. But anyway, back to Angelina. Angelina was easily the best of that four-woman group. Easily the best. I mean, she was hot, was pretty, had a nice body, and she could actually, unlike the other beautiful people members, she actually could work a decent match and actually had a believable move set. And I kind of hate the way they're doing her right now, basically having her as a lackey to Winter, the old Katie Burchill from WWE. You know, it's this time-traveling lesbian vampire type gimmick. I hope with Bruce Pritchard in charge, they slowly get away from that and get her out of that. You know, we talked about like consistency and continuity with story writing in TNA. That's one I wouldn't mind seeing get dropped from the face of the earth. I would not miss it at all. But getting back to Angelina, she deserves to be on here, because she, of the beautiful people, she was easily the best worker in the ring. And she's not bad in the ring at all. She's pretty marketable. I'd be interested to see if she went to, let's say, ROH or WWE, how she would do for them. But yeah, Angelina Love's on here. Moving on. ODB. Good character. Not the hottest female to look at, but to me she had a great character, and the fans loved her. And she was one of those that she would get cheers even when she was playing heel. She would still get her share of cheers from the crowd. And she was one of those, nobody wanted to boo this woman. Nobody. And while her work in the ring was not the best, it was far from the worst. And she's one of those, I mean, and her appeal was like the everyman, or in this case, the every woman was her appeal to the audience. I think that's why she got over like she did, because she was someone people could relate to. She wasn't the out-of-reach supermodel. She was basically the everyday woman, especially if you lived in the South. So ODB is one of the better female wrestlers out there, and she's on my list as the best of the best. Moving on, Eve Torres. Now, she's on here as an honorable mention. She's not nearly the best of the best, but as far as in-ring work, I would rank her definitely above Madison Rayne. And actually, I would rank her above her partner, her on-screen partner, Kelly. I think she's better than Kelly in terms of in-ring work. And from what I've heard, she's capable of a lot more than she shows. But unfortunately, WWE has this thing where we don't want the women getting too physical. We don't want them showing this or showing that, which I have a few opinions on that, which will probably come out in this video somewhere. But from what I understand, Eve is a lot better than she shows. And I hope one day WWE takes the cuffs off and lets her show that, because I've seen her do some submission wrestling. I've seen her do a great moonsault from the top rope. I mean, I haven't seen one of those from a woman since really Lita. Now, unless you talk about overseas wrestling or something. So, one day I hope to put her on my best of the best list. Right now, she's just an honorable mention. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think she's held the Divas Championship a couple of times. So she definitely is on her way if she continues, and if WWE basically allows her to grow. See, that's the key thing. Will they put any power behind the Divas, especially the newer crop? But moving on, this is a definite best of the best in my opinion. Roxxi. Now, Roxxi I always felt was very underrated and underused in TNA. This woman was not only a good valet, she was not only a good performer in the ring. This woman was also one of the few women that would be in hardcore matches and was actually willing to bleed. I mean, how many women? I mean, the only other woman I can recall that's ever been busted open in a match, I think a few years ago in 2000, Lita, when she took on Ivory at the Survivor Series, she got busted open around the cheekbone during the match. I think that's the only time I've ever seen it, other than with Roxxi. And I just felt that they should have gave this woman a shot, maybe at the Knockouts Championship, or at least a short run. Maybe not a long-term run, but she definitely deserved it for everything that she gave and she spilled for that company. Now moving on, Natalya Neidhart's Divas of Doom tag partner, Beth Phoenix. Now this is definitely one of the cream of the crop on this list. Beth Phoenix, to me, she's a better looking version of Chyna. Still has the same, strength and power that Chyna tried to exude, but you could still tell she's a woman. And plus has skill in the ring. Plus her character, she's capable of playing face or heel. She's another one that I think she's better as a heel, but she did okay as a face. And with the way the character's being pointed with the Divas of Doom trying to take out all the pretty models and everything, that angle's actually believable. It really is. So, Beth Phoenix, definitely one of the best of the best. I think she held the women's championship when it was still around, and now she's Divas champion. And she's definitely one of the best female wrestlers out there. And now we're about to go back to the past a little bit for another best of the best, Miss Ivory. Of course, those that were around for the Attitude Era remember this woman. She was a WWE Women's Champion, and while she was a good face, she actually did her best work as a heel, as part of the infamous Right to Censor. Yeah, which was actually a jab at the Parents Television Council. But she was a very good worker. And not a bad-looking woman. I didn't even realize that she was early 40s at that time. And all I got to say is, wow. I mean, some women, for her looks and body, some women half her age would kill for that. But she was like in her early 40s when she was in her big stride. I hope she's doing well these days, because, whew. She was a performer. And from what I heard, a very nice lady outside the ring. Now next is the who I always called the female version of Vader. Awesome Kong. Or Karma. Currently she's out right now due to a pregnancy. But Awesome Kong, especially in TNA, she was just that. Awesome. I mean, when she would take on the girl, especially like Gail Kim. I mean, and I love and respect Gail Kim, but when Awesome Kong would take on her, I actually feared for her life. Because I was like, oh God, this little poor Asian chick is about to get murdered. Because she was basically, like I said, Kong was basically the female version of Vader. At least in my opinion. If anyone remembers Vader's heyday, I'm not talking about WWE Vader. I'm talking about WCW Vader. Before, like, Hogan showed up. Oh, man. I mean, that's how awesome Kong is. And this is how much impressed she made on me as a fan. I would take one beatdown from all the members of Immortal that take on Awesome Kong. Yeah, that's how much she scared me. I was like, whew. But she's been a TNA Knockouts champion. She's held championships overseas. And I hope one day when she gets back, she could have a run with the Divas title. I think that's what they were building to up until the time she announced she was pregnant. So I hope they get her back on that, because this is a monster that could be used very, very easily. And if ran right, could be a very big money maker for them. Now moving on. Sarita. She's the best of the best. Now Sarita, from what I understand, has basically, traveled like Mexico, Canada, which is her home place. But I think she does have Hispanic roots. Canada, internationally. And then she came to TNA. She's been both, well, no, I take that back. She has not been TNA Knockouts champion, which I can't figure that one out. But she has been Knockouts Tag Team Champion. And quite honestly, she and Rosita are the only reasons I even look at Mexican America. Which is nothing but a cheap ripoff of LAX. All I gotta say is Hernandez, and this is on a side note, Hernandez, give a call to Homicide quick, because your partner right now, Anarquina, he sucks. But back to Sarita. Very skilled luchador. She kind of reminded me of Lita a little bit with the aerial things and with the aerial style. but she's a capable mat wrestler as well, and she could play face or heel. I wasn't sure about her playing a heel because she got over so well as a great face, but she's done a heel character very well in spite of the rotten material they've given her. I hope one day we'll see her back in the singles scene, because Lord knows she, and for that matter Rosita, deserves better than being valets or second fiddle to Mexican America. What a waste of talent. I just hope she's not stuck there for the rest of her career in TNA. Moving on to an old favorite, and I might get some looks for this, but I always thought she was, maybe not in the face, but overall I always thought she was kind of hot. Jazz. Now Jazz, many people might remember her from ECW, the original ECW, not that WWE shit. The original ECW, Jazz made an impact. Unfortunately, there wasn't many women for her, female wrestlers for her to take on, so she ended up taking on guys mostly. Then when she came to WWE, she made an impact by, within the first couple of months in the company, she defeated Trish Stratus for the WWE Women's Championship. And whenever she was in a match, you knew whether she won or lost, the other person was in for a fight that evening. I remember one match in particular where Jazz took on Miss Jacqueline. And I'll tell you what, for a woman's match, that was as physical as any male match that I've ever seen. I mean, these girls really went at it. Plus, for the females, she was very, very, well, she was I mean, you can still tell she was a woman, but she was muscular and she was very strong, which brought an element for the other female wrestlers to take to battle, because they couldn't go head up. Most of them could not go head up with her. I mean, Miss Jacqueline could. I think of Victoria, who was around that time. She could, but most of the others really couldn't. So she brought that element of, I'm gonna whoop your ass. That's really the only way to put it. From what I understand, her and her real life husband, who was wrestler Rodney Mack, these days, I mean, they've settled comfortably to life after wrestling. Understand they have they have twin daughters now. So congratulations to them. Hope life continues to be good to her and her husband and their children. Well, moving on, here comes Taylor Wilde. She's definitely a best of the best. She was a TNA Knockouts champion who got it pretty quickly upon her entering the company. And she's the first female wrestler in TNA that could say she was both a TNA Knockouts champion, and then later she could say she was part of the first ever TNA Knockouts tag team champions. Of course, her partner at the time was Sarita. Now, I'll be honest, when she first came on the scene, I thought of her as a Trish Stratus ripoff, because TNA loves to copy things that WWE and other organizations do. I mean, everybody copies, but they're like the most blatant. What I will say for Taylor, though, I think she was a better worker in the ring than Trish Stratus. I think her skill set was better. Her timing was better. She just didn't have the same markability or marketing machine behind her like Trish Stratus did. But she was a very good worker and a very good wrestler. I understand these days she's actually teaching some female wrestlers. If she is, well, they could do a whole lot worse than Taylor Wilde. So she looks like she'd be a good one to learn from. Now, to a woman that I mentioned earlier, here comes another best of the best, Gail Kim. Now, like I said, I got into it with this YouTuber the other day. he insisted on calling her Gail King. And, you know, talk about she botches. Oh, she wasn't that good. That's why she went back to TNA, because she couldn't cut it at WWE. She's been there twice and hasn't done anything, and this and that and the other. And basically went on to call me a smark, saying, well, I don't have to listen to you because I know people that are in the wrestling business that say Gail Kim botches constantly. She has an attitude, this and that and other. First of all, to that YouTuber, and they know who they are. First of all, to that YouTuber, first, fuck you. Second, to these people that are inside the business, you know, if it came from somebody inside the business, fine. But for you to disrespect other people that choose to praise Gail Kim, and I think she deserves a lot of praise, not because she's an internet darling or anything. I liked Gail Kim back a long time ago before the internet really got into wrestling. I liked her back then, like 2003. And you said she's been to the WWE twice and hadn't done anything. Well, is that really, you ask yourself this question, is that really her fault? Or is that WWE's fault? You decide. But in my opinion, as far as her being a botch machine, yes, she has botched. But you know what? Most female wrestlers botch. And there's ones, including a few on this list, a couple of them I've already named, like Madison Rayne or Kelly. They botch way worse than Gail Kim. And more frequently, especially Madison Rayne, more frequently than Gail Kim. Plus, I've always had a problem with people calling other folks out of their name. I guess because, you know, growing up, you know, like a lot of people, you know, everybody got bullied or something at people. I used to get called out of my name so much that I now am really sensitive to, you know, to those that do that. I mean, the bottom line is the woman's name is Gail Kim, not Gail King. And that's what I'm talking about with, I mean, disrespect. You don't have to like the person. I mean, that's cool. You don't like them as a wrestler, that's fine. But call them by their proper fucking name. Okay? And if you can't do that, well, actually that says more about you than it does about the person you're bashing. But enough about him. Back to Gail Kim. She was the first TNA Knockouts champion. She even had one brief run as WWE Ladies Champion back in 2003. And even though she started in WWE on the national stage, she made her name in TNA. In a lot of ways, she's a TNA original. I mean, I know she started WWE, but she really made her name in TNA. And that was another point that I had a problem with, where he said TNA's never made any stars. And I say, bullshit. As much as I bash TNA, they have made a few stars. AJ Styles. You could argue of definitely James Storm. Definitely Robert Roode. To some degree, Samoa Joe, although Samoa Joe's name was first made in ROH. And quite a few others. And Gail Kim's another one I think they helped make. So, to say TNA has never made any stars of their own, bullshit. Yeah, they suck. They suck. I mean, I get on them, they suck, but you know what? I give them credit where it's due, too. They have made a few stars. But anyway, Gail Kim is definitely one. I mean, she doesn't mind showing the sexiness, as you can see, obviously, in this picture. But she wants to be known as a great females wrestler. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. And I do think the way WWE did her last run was especially shitty. I mean, how this woman did not get a get a shot. I mean, I think she only had one title match, and that was a match against Mickie James once for the Divas title. And the match was actually okay up until near the end where they botched this one move. And quite honestly, Gail Kim, in my opinion, needs to get a better finisher, because the one that she's using right now, I don't know, that shit just looks weak as hell. And for somebody with her skills, I mean, she should have a better finisher than that. But in any case, I like Gail Kim. And she deserves to be called best of the best, in my opinion. I mean, don't like it, that's cool. But respect, that's my opinion. Now, moving on. Trish Stratus. Definitely the epitome of what it takes to get over. Great looks, great body, and a pretty good worker in the ring. I couldn't always say that about Trish. I mean, people praise her now. It's like, oh, the women now ain't like Trish Stratus, or the women now ain't like Lita. Well, here's the thing. Trish Stratus in the beginning, if you look at her early stuff, she sucked. I mean, she sucked ass. I don't mean that as disrespect to the woman, but she did. She sucked. But as time went on, she worked hard, and she got herself to where now she's one of the most honored female wrestlers ever in WWE. And on a side note, this past WrestleMania, that whole thing with Snooki and John Morrison, when John Morrison kind of snubbed Trish on a hug, all I got to say is, John Morrison, what the fuck were you thinking? I mean, I know you have your quote-unquote girlfriend, Melina, but come on. Just a hug? Oh, Lord. Anyway, back to Trish. She's a 6-time women's champion. She wasn't around by the time they made the Divas title, but I'm pretty sure if she had been, she probably would have held that once or twice too. And she's definitely one of the best. Definitely an icon as far as the WWE Attitude Era goes. So now, moving on. Speaking of icons of the Attitude Era, here comes another one. Miss Jacqueline, or Jackie Moore. Now, when I first saw this woman, I have to admit, I was like, okay, this is China, but sexier. This is, I mean, they called Mark Henry sexual chocolate. No, this is sexual chocolate right here. In her heyday. Was muscular, but again, you could tell that she was a woman. I mean, she could wrestle, she could brawl, do a brawl style, she could do a technical style. Although she wasn't the best technical wrestler, but she knew some moves. And was over with the fans, whether as a face or a heel. And was, I think, a 2-time women's champion. I think she should have been a little bit more than that, maybe 3 times. But hey, she helped put the WWE Divas division on the map during the late 90s and into 2000s. And she was definitely another icon from the Attitude Era. So she's definitely a best of the best. Now, moving on to a woman that I have very mixed feelings on. Melina Perez. Now, Melina the person, if what I've heard is true on her, Melina the human being kind of leaves a lot to be desired, particularly with the way she does her relationship with John Morrison. And why John Morrison is so loyal to this woman is beyond me. I mean, the rumored like sexual stepping out with guys like Batista and Mike Knox. Mike Knox is the one that really make me about eyes wide open. Or Brian Kendrick and other dudes rumored is beyond me. I mean, she might not be an okay person except for that, but I don't know. I mean, Johnny Boy, you could do a lot better. And you could get a lot more loyal. Because from what I heard, John Morrison's a pretty nice guy. So, that's enough on that. Now, Melina the Performer, I have absolute love for. Melina the Performer, and as a character, I mean, she's great. She really is. A former WWE Women's Champion. I think she's even been the Divas. She's one of the few that could say she held the women and the Divas titles. She's one of the few on this list that could say that. I think Michelle McCool, who's not on this list, could say that. Also, I think Mickie James. I think they're about the only three, maybe Beth Phoenix. They're about the only ones that could say that. That could say they've held both belts. So, that's a pretty exclusive club right there. And I heard she's basically wrestling on the independent scene these days. And as a performer, I hope she does well. And I would pray one day as a person she improves. Because if she's anything like I've heard, which is one of the reasons I heard she was let go, was she just had a shitty attitude to her co-workers backstage. They say she was great with the fans, great with the public, but when it came to her co-workers, they said she was a real asshole. Well, if that's the case, then I hope that one day changes and she matures. I mean, anyone can change as long as they're alive. I really hope that, because it would be such a shame for all that talent that she has to go to waste. Moving on, Amy Dumas, or Lita. Now, Lita has always been a favorite of mine as far as in the ring. She was one of the first, I mean, during the Attitude Era, when she was with the Hardy Boys, her character was on fire. And she was strong enough that her character was so over with the fans that she got almost as loud of cheers when she would come out as, say, Stone Cold Steve Austin or The Rock. And no, I'm not exaggerating when I say that. She was as over as some of the main event male wrestlers, and even more over than a lot of the other male wrestlers. I mean, Lita was hot. Of course, that went downhill when the revelation came out that she cheated on her longtime boyfriend Matt Hardy with Edge. And may I say on this, I wish people would just let that go, because truth be told, we really don't know why she did that and everything. And plus, no one died. I mean, it's not like Lita pulled a Chris Benoit. I mean, no one died. I mean, people get cheated on all the time. I'm not saying it's right, but come on, that's not the worst thing in the world to happen. And seeing how Matt Hardy has turned out in recent years, I'm starting to wonder if she didn't have good reason to cheat. But I digress. A former women's champion, and definitely an icon from the Attitude Era as well. So moving on to Katie Birchhill, or TNA, Winter. Now this one is more of an honorable mention. She definitely has potential to do something. I thought she was pretty good in WWE, to be honest, as Katie Birchhill. Now, in TNA as Winter, I don't really care for this character that they got her in. This kind of time-traveling lesbian type character. I don't know. I mean, it's not the worst character, but I feel they could do better than that. I actually liked her better as the snob in WWE. She played that character pretty well. I would have liked to have seen her maybe teamed with William Regal. They probably could have done something. But she's an honorable mention. She's one I'm going to keep my eye on. Now, here comes another favorite of mine. That is a best of the best. Mickie James. Now, Mickie she's had some personal controversy around her, but let me get on to professional. Professional, she is great. former women's champion, former Divas champion, and former Knockouts champion. I mean, she's basically been a champion everywhere she's gone. Now, Mickie James is a person. I heard she's actually a sweetheart, but she can be, if you get my drift, can be a little loose at times. In fact, one of the rumors of why she was let go in WWE was that months before he got married, apparently she had a one-time affair with John Cena. And then when he broke it off to marry his now wife, she didn't take it too well, which is why she was moved off of Raw and onto SmackDown to keep the two separated. But then when she still was making problems about it, that's why she was released. I think WWE at that point did not have no plans to release her. But when this was going on, they felt they had no choice. So that's too bad on that part. In her defense, though, she says that it was because she wanted to start a country singing career, but WWE wouldn't let her. Which, if that's true, I can't understand that part, because wouldn't that bring more notoriety to WWE? I don't know. I mean, I know I knocked TNA on a lot of their moves, and a lot of the criticism is well deserved. But WWE sometimes does some moves that I'm like, I don't get it. What's the point of you blocking an opportunity that can not only make your star look good, but could make you look good too at the same time? But anyway, she's the best of the best. Okay, these next three, I'm going to try to wrap up quickly because this video is going kind of long. This next one is an honorable mention. Kelly. Now, Kelly, she's not one of my favorites, and I did mean it when I say she is terrible at botching, but here's her plus side. She's good looking, has a nice body, and she tries. She really tries hard. You can see the effort. She really tries hard. She really does. And I hope one day I can move her from an honorable mention to a best of the best, because I see potential there. I mean, like I said earlier about Trish Stratus, when she first started out, she sucked. But she eventually came around and became a great performer. So it is possible. And I hope one day she could really turn me into a fan of hers. But moving on to a best of the best, Molly Holly. Now, she's taken some criticism outside of the ring for like some of her Christian beliefs, and even being caught in a lie about her being a virgin when in fact she was not. And people have gone off on her and stuff. I say, you know what? Lying about being a virgin is not the worst thing in the world. I mean, come on. Come on now. And I'll say this, and not that I condone lying, but if her telling that maybe inspired a girl maybe to save herself to marriage, or at least someone that really cares about her, then more power to her. Now, let's get to the performer, Molly Holly. She was very underrated, in my opinion. Now, she was kind of post-Attitude Era. I mean, she was in the Attitude Era, but she was mostly as the kayfabe cousin of Crash and Bob Holly. But post-Attitude Era, that's when she really made her name. She was a good worker, and she really knew her stuff in the ring. And her heel character was one of the most over characters as far as the WWE Divas division goes. So, and she was, I think, a one-time WWE Women's Champion. So, as far as all that goes, Molly Holly is the best of the best in my eyes. Now, let's get to the final woman who's an honorable mention, who is quickly becoming one of my favorites, Miss Tessmacher. Again, great look, Great body. And speaking as a man, I might get some eyebrows for this. One of the best behinds in the business. I'm sorry. I mean, but it's so, I mean, she puts it out there too. I mean, she makes no secret of it. But she's actually, she's surprisingly, for someone that's only really worked in the ring maybe a year or so, she is very good. I mean, she's even held her own with veterans like Mickie James and worked a good match. In fact, Tessmacher, I watched last night when her and Tara dropped the Knockouts titles to Gail Kim and Madison Rayne. She actually worked very well with Gail, another veteran of the business. And I was like, if she's this good now as a rookie, what will she be like later on? I sincerely hope the woman doesn't burn out. I really do. Because this is definitely potential to be a long-term star. She is long-term star material in my eyes. So I hope TNA doesn't mess her up, or if she ever left TNA and went back to WWE, I hope WWE would give her an honest chance. Because this could be a potential moneymaker for her. For anyone that she works for, she could be a potential moneymaker. So she's definitely an honorable mention right now, but just barely. A couple of years from now, a year or so from now, she may be on my best of the best side. Well, that's all. That's the only women I wanted to talk about. This video is running pretty long, longer than I expected, but I hope it's been well worth for you to watch. So leave your comments down below, or if you like, you can make a video response to my video. Have a nice day.